Hidden low. Doing creepypastas. This is What Are We Reading? I'm Llytic.
I'm Ichi-Tan. Or Ichigo Koneko. Or absolutely dead and side. Actually, you can, but it's not nice. What you talking about?
Man, she's heaven on the eyes, but hell on the knees.
Hehe.
The phrase fucking popped into my head at some point this week.
That's, I feel to be added. Project. No.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't think I can pull off that line prop. Okay.
Yeah. Because you know who would
About themselves or one of their...
both,
Either they saying it or someone... Boy. Oh, God. Just the skin. Like, around like that. Those of you who don't know, my allergies have been, like, kicking my ass, like, just this past week. Like, it's only been, like, the past 3.
like
It was bad.
talking to him.
And we're doing this long. It's kind of hard to find just like a catalog of like OC, what I kind of wanted to do. That aren't like finding those like properly finding those. Someone who's no longer active or hasn't been active for a while. Like a lot of those classic fan fictions are that way.
Mm-hmm.
hell, some of those are actually reposts because they got deleted off the website they were on. And a lot of these conglomerate ones are like cases where like they are no longer available in their original form. Now I will say, if it's posted on r/nosleep, I will ask permission. Like, that is a requirement for that site, that sort of thing. A lot of creepypastas, though, no one is quite sure who originally wrote them. Which we have done a few OC creepypastas before. We've done Jason the Toy Maker, which was one of those cases of like, it felt like it was. What was that one? The one about like that fucking 13-year-old. There's this like fucking anime and manga about like this 13-year-old girl who gets trapped in like a tower filled with like serial killers.
I've never heard of that, but okay.
I read a good portion of the manga. The whole thing is that it's not really that scary, because it's really hard to do horror anime. Horror manga is one thing. Horror comics actually work really well most of the time, but horror anime, not so much because of like budgeting issues and all that sort of shit. You can't do as like detailed of drawing as like in a Junji Ito situation, or like you don't have the page turning conundrum, in which basically the fact that like you are in charge of moving the story forward is part of what generates the horror, which is a really fascinating thing about horror comics and why I love them. But that's besides the point. Like, it reminded me of that, though. Like, it was just like, this doesn't feel like a proper horror thing. This feels like I want cute boy who murder thing. Which, yeah. It's besides the point.
I don't know. A lot of like the horror manga, comic stuff like that, just I tend to stay away from, especially after the killing stalking fandom.
Oh god. Stop reminding me of straight people's fetishes.
Hold on.
Gross. Well, that's also why you don't go for like a horror thing that has a romance at the center of it if that's not the kind of thing you're looking for. And I just reminded myself of the Twitter manga Pulseless, Pulseless Girlfriend? Which I guess is a horror thing with that at the center of it. That is actually just straight up a fandom issue now that I think about it. Like, because I don't think, like, killing stalking necessarily, like, glorifies that dynamic, I guess. Granted, it wasn't really something that I was interested in, so I never read it. But I don't feel that that was what it was going for. At least I hope not. If that was what it was going for, oh dear.
Who knows?
Because I just remembered the fact that, like, I came across relatively recently this manga about this, like, kid who is just constantly being stalked by female yokai who are trying to kill him and the people around him. And he ends up with one of them, which is... I can't remember the Japanese name for it, but it's like... being off wolf is like what it translates to. Basically, it was this idea of like a wolf that would stalk people. And if you got all the way to your house, you'd be fine, but if you tripped, you would die.
Well then.
Yeah. And so basically she's like just decided, because basically like they're all just full on yandere, and she's just decided that she is going to be like boss bitch here and just slaughter any other one that gets close. But that doesn't feel like it's actually trying to like glorify that situation, at least not to me. It's just like, wow, this is kind of a fucked up dynamic.
So the complete and total opposite of that weird fucking one where they took the tall lady and made a weird, like, Shotokan fucking hentai out of it.
You mean every single depiction of her ever? Here's
Yeah.
the thing. The specific urban legend of that lady involves her just kidnapping children. Like, that's just what she does. She is like a 10-foot tall woman who kidnaps children.
Yeah, and then they had to make a hentai of it and make it
And so,
fucking sexual.
no, like, even in, like, the original urban legends and shit, like, people actually cataloging that shit, there are people that are just, like, people cataloging that shit, they're like, yeah, so this thing might just straight up be, like, a fucking, I guess to use the YouTube-friendly word, map.
Don't ever say that word around me again!
Look, I'm only doing it due to the fact that we're on YouTube. If I were off YouTube, I wouldn't use that word. Unless I was talking about cartography. Besides the point, we are fucking... or multi-animation project. Goddamn fucking YouTube censorship. Anyway,
You say as you curse like a goddamn sailor.
Yeah, but apparently, me calling out kitty fiddlers is too far.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, YouTube tends to cover up the kitty fiddlers, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so there were just straight up people, like, whenever that urban legend first started up, which was only a few years ago. That's it's a new one. They were like, oh, yeah, she might just be into children.
I didn't realize it was that new. I thought it was...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think it was after 2010.
Oh, wow.
Are you looking it up right now, or?
No, because I can't remember the name of it.
It's like, what was this? Like 3-meter woman?
Yeah, it was like something like that, and then she had like a name, like something.
Well, like there's the actual name, but what it translates to. No, not Chomin Yoga. Not a woman with a 3-meter long face.
Ooh.
10. What? No, not the taco on the. Oh, okay. It's just straight up 8 foot tall. It's Hachishaku-sama.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's real fucking recent. Shaku, not Saku. Shaku. Not what the fuck? Hachisaku-sama. Shaku-sama. Yeah, if you look at like most of the stuff popping up, this is like some of it's like 2017. Wow. Oh, whoa, that's a YouTube video. We have gotten off topic already, but that's all right. You know, that's right. No, I don't want Wattpad stories. What the fuck?
Yes, you do. Yes.
No, I don't. You do. Because it's all going to be Shota.
Yeah, the only reason I know about this was because like a while back somebody had made a TikTok about it, and they were like, a friend had sent this to me knowing that I liked creepypastas, and said it was just like this innocent anime, and goddamn am I scarred.
And
then decided to tell.
It's giving 2008. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the time that this first popped up on the internet was 2008, which was a person in Japan talking about events from their childhood, dating back to around the year 1998. So this is real fucking recent, in regards to like folklore shit.
Huh.
And so just little kid telling their family that there was this lady looking over the fucking tall ass fence. It was a 6-foot hedge, saying that there was a woman in a white dress and a white sun hat looking over the fence, staring at him, and just making the sound pull, 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 pull.
Yeah.
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 Which the translation is often given as 8 foot tall, but she's actually listed typically as about about 8 foot tall, because the Japanese word is shaku. Hachi shaku sama. Right, duh, fuck. Which a shaku is about 11.9 inches. So hachi, 8, shaku, foot, sama, person. You know. Someone who is 8 foot tall. Yeah. And so part of the reason why like this whole association with it happened was because it was one person saying that they saw it as a kid over their head, just staring at him. Anyway, now that we've talked about like the fucking kitty fiddler ghost, that's a horrible sentence.
That is a horrible sentence.
Oh god, I'm just imagining like other cryptids that like that sort of thing gets assumed about them. That would be fucking hilarious.
They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, I don't associate with that.
I'm just imagining like Bigfoot, like a Bigfoot hunter suddenly going, you know, I think Bigfoot might. You know, I think Bigfoot might be in a jailbait.
Okay. No.
Oh, that'd be fucking. It's bad enough that those people on those shows are always playing Bigfoot mating calls. Because apparently they specifically want horny Bigfoot. Which my question is, why do they know what a Bigfoot mating call sounds like? Anyway. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Alright. It's like I was just kind of talking to myself. Yeah, we're going to start off with the creepypasta Plankton Got Served. It's going to be in the description, as are all of them that we're going to go through. Alright. Do you have it open?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Have it open.
Okay. I'm sure many have heard of lost episode creepypastas. They are usually an incredibly graphic episode, convey such fear for children that it never aired. Someone managed to sneak a viewing or owns one of the tapes. The most popular example of this is Squidward's Suicide, in which Squidward commits suicide. Hence the title.
Really?
Yep, we've covered that one before.
Of course, all of these creepypastas are false. Alrighty then. Yet I remember a SpongeBob episode that was altered heavily, but still remains in circulation today. This is One Course Meal from season 7. In the episode, Mr. Crab finds out that Plankton is horrified by whales and uses it to his advantage. This is one of
distressing episode.
This is one of the least popular episodes of the show due to the dark nature of the episode, even after the episode was heavily altered.
For those of you who don't know, that's the episode where Plankton straight up at one point just lies down in the middle of the street hoping to get run over by a car.
And I relate to that a lot.
Because the entire episode, Mr. Krabs had been terrorizing him, disguised as his own daughter, threatening to eat him.
That just sounds like some WAWR bullshit.
Not this again. Fuck, I just flashed back. God damn it. Okay.
Breathe.
No, you just, like, the fuck, because of the fact that you brought up the fucking Hachishaku Sama earlier. I'm just remembering, like, looking up, like, all sorts of stuff, like, seeing if there was any fan art, and being so disappointed that it was all, like, that shit. It's like, god damn it. Like, as someone who likes them tall, I'm really tired of, like, tall women being used in that way.
Pretty sure tall women are being tired of being used in that way as well.
Do a lot of tall women watch, like, not watch, just, like, fucking look at media in which they're just all portrayed as kitty fiddlers for some reason?
I mean, unfortunately, like, I mean, if you look at it though, like a lot of the times, like it doesn't matter what the media is, whether it be like Western media, animation, whatever. A lot of the times, whenever you look at it, the tall, mature, more voluptuous, quote unquote, people like women who fit and fall into those categories, are always portrayed as like this like stealing younger men stereotype trope, whether it be like the 20-something-year-old pool boy or like the high school student and they're the teacher. It's always
the pool boy is trope. One thing.
Is this whole fucking trope?
Yeah. Well, like, I'm not even concerned about the maturity thing. It's just a whole thing of, like, why is it all just shit that, like, I know, like, me saying this is probably going to upset some people. Shit that should be illegal.
It's a weird straight male fetish.
Well, but yeah, I know I am going to fucking piss off some people by saying that, like, fucking Shota and lolliporn should be illegal. It should.
Yeah, I know it should. It's awkward.
It should. The sentence probably shouldn't be, you know, as terrible as fucking actually doing something to a child. But
there are actually some states in the US and even some countries that consider if you have like Shotacon or Lolicon on your computer, even if it is like
they do consider
animated, they do consider it as that.
Yeah. Okay.
You can still get busted for it in some states in the US and some countries.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable. Oh. Sorry, I'm suppressing the urge to throw up. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that always bugs me as someone who very much does, for lack of a better term, like them tall. Look, I don't always want to be the big spoon. Now, how would I have seen this episode before it was edited? Simple, really. This is one of the seven SpongeBob episodes that was revealed to the internet before it aired on TV. Is it a thing? Like, 7 SpongeBob episodes leaking or whatever? Or was it just that they were officially put online first? Oh, yep, it's saying it was on the Nickelodeon page. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I rapidly researched come up. It observed, though it was eventually changed. It is interesting because this is one of those whole things where basically it's kind of similar to the Black Friday incident, which is a creepypasta based on the production of Toy Story, in which they seem to have taken something that actually happened and just kind of exaggerated it. You know?
Probably.
Because, like, the Black Friday incident literally had to do with, like, people at Pixar just having a stress-induced breakdown because of the fact that, like, or, like, not necessarily a stress-induced break, basically being under a lot of pressure and stress because of the fact that Disney Studio kept telling, like, them to make it edgier.
Interesting.
Which is why, like, if you've ever seen some of the, like, pre-production stuff, or not pre-production, like, the concept art and, like, the old stuff involving, like, old script and all that involved in Toy Story, it is like, why is this so dark? And, like, this also included, like, essentially Woody just being a straight-up asshole, and I believe actually trying to kill Buzz.
Well then.
Yeah. Which, of course, the creepypasta embellished things, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Most of the episode is identical to the one that is circulated today. Plankton manages to break into the Krusty Krab and ties up Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. As he's about to finally get the secret formula from SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs' daughter, Pearl, walks in. This terrifies Plankton and causes him to run out. Plankton later claims his ancestors were eaten by whales, and that's why he fears them so.
Understandable. Mr. Krabs realizes this fear that Plankton has and decides to use it against him. He dresses up as his daughter and begins to follow Plankton around, frightening him. Plankton decides he can no longer take it and decides to make the ultimate decision. Plankton decides to commit suicide. Yes, this is still in the show today. You are free to watch it. Yep, that is actually a part of the episode.
Let's see. It says Plankton waits for the bus as he lies in the street waiting to get run over. That is when SpongeBob comes over to try to convince him to continue his existence. This is where the alteration of the two versions begin. Plankton fails to heed SpongeBob's words and remains there. In the altered version that was shown, SpongeBob tells Plankton that it was Mr. Krabs as Pearl the entire time, and he gets up.
In another altered version, SpongeBob says the same things, but Plankton refuses to believe him. SpongeBob decides the only thing he can do is show him the truth, and to show him the truth is to drag Mr. Krabs outside. Soon after he leaves, the typical red bus comes speeding along. Plankton sits up and watches it hit him as everything fades to darkness.
Huh. Plankton finds him. Let's see. Plankton finds himself standing on a secret platform overlooking darkness. In the darkness, he sees whales all looking up at him. They're members of his family. He can faintly make out calling for him to jump down. Plankton looks above and sees a light that he can scarcely believe. This would seem to represent heaven and hell.
In this episode of SpongeBob, Plankton fucking dies. Shit. Sorry, I just reminded myself of a video that made me laugh. I think it's just called Obi-Wan Kenobi fucking dies. Let me see if I can find it, because fucking hell. Let me make sure this is the right one. Because... Yep. let me link this one. Because, oh fuck me, it's glorious. I love it. It's just great. Joe was right. It is Obi-Wan fucking dies. If you haven't seen it, I suggest watching it because but no, it's great. Anyway, Plankton, resigned to his fate, jumps and plunges down into the darkness. This is where the episode ends, and the traditional credits are shown for the show, parallel to Plankton's descent into the darkness. Was it the typical credits music?
Now, some of you may say you saw the show as soon as it came available online. Apparently not fast enough. After seeing the episode online, I reloaded the page to find the altered version shown on the website. I kept reloading, curious of how I'd seen the first version. The only answer I can imagine for my viewing of the original episode was that the creators uploaded the wrong file, and moments after uploading it, recognized it such. I may be the only one who saw this version.
Hey, yo, you make sure to put the right file in? Yeah. Alright, can we check first? Yeah, I mean, it's already uploaded. Like, it was scheduled, it's already up there. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't make a mistake. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
We uploaded the one where he fucking dies. And I just remembered a relatively recent, well, it's not a recent case of wrong file, but it is something that has been brought up more recently. I'm not going to get into it right now. It has to do with, like, Lindsay Ellis and the shit she's had to deal with recently. Because, oh no, she compared Raya the Last Dragon to Avatar the Last Airbender. And people apparently who had never seen, a whole bunch of white people, mostly fucking, like, mostly white Twitter mob, who, a lot of which admitted they had never seen Raya the Last Dragon, accused her of being, like, I guess, Asia-phobic? It's dumb. It was really dumb. It was really dumb, and so someone decided to bring up all the other things she's done in the past that were apparently problematic, including a case in which something that was specifically done to help her get over some trauma accidentally got uploaded back in the channel Awesome Days by by one of the higher ups back when she was, by like one of the people who was like in charge of that thing back when she was still working there. Because apparently she was falling behind on deadlines, and she had put that in like one of the folders where she puts her like put her fucking edited together stuff. And so they were like, all right, let's just upload this. But like, it was something specifically done to help her get over fucked up shit that had happened to her. And it recently got brought into the limelight, I guess, by both sides of, like, the standard Twitter mob.
Wow.
Because there are, like, two sides to the standard Twitter mob. You have the fucking right-wing fucking... the people who tried to get fucking James Gunn taken off of tried to get James Gunn taken out of Marvel. And then you have the, like, people who get, like, this weird sort of validation from trying to prove that they're better than other people, like, that they're more, what's the right word for it? Basically, like, people who try to, like, prove that they're not racist by calling out other people for minor stuff. I'm going to say it right now. everyone has like some bullshit racist views that have basically just kind of been taught to them by either how they were raised or just the surrounding society. It's inevitable. The only thing you can do for it is just analyze your own prejudices, and whenever you notice that something like that happens, you just kind of take a step back and go, wait, that wasn't right.
Because
it's impossible. Like everyone has like some prejudices in every fucking direction. Prejudices like both like race wise, gender wise, sexuality wise. It's regardless. Like it's going to happen.
Like I'll straight up admit right now, like growing up, and the area that I grew up, there's some stuff that like I said and did and everything because it was just the way that it was portrayed around me, and I realized now as an adult,
yeah,
all of that was totally not. A lot of it was totally not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I got older, growing up, as I got older, a lot of times, like, I started to call people out on it because I was starting to think for myself and be like, wait a minute, this is not cool. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, it's okay to admit, like, growing up, like, the way that you grew up around your family, you did not know that was right, or you grew up a way the social norm was not okay. It's okay to admit that and admit that you are not that person anymore.
Of course, you don't need to go dragging up minor shit that someone did in the past
to make yourself feel better.
Nor should you ever fucking harass someone online. I have said some shit involving, like, fucking Stephanie Meyer. I'm not gonna fucking, like, harass the shit out of her. That's wrong. That is fucking wrong. There is a lot of stuff that I just, on principle, do not agree with her with.
Yeah.
She was the first person who popped into my head. Honestly, Erica Mitchell's probably worse, but...
like, straight up, I will rag on people for, like, stuff that they've done or whatever, but I'm also not going to sit there and just be like...
Don't... Because, like, okay, here's the thing with fucking Lindsay Ellis that pissed the fuck out of me, was all the people that were like, all you need to do is apologize. It's like, okay, you guys are saying that, but even if she comes out and apologizes, you guys aren't going to care. Listen. You're not going to fucking listen. You just want to fucking dogpile the new villain of the week because, like, Twitter's awful like that.
Like all those people that tried to say that, oh, it was, like, this group of people's fault that these 6 Dr. Seuss books that literally have not really sold any copies in years that nobody really pays attention to.
No one reads those books. No one reads those books. And one of them just straight up has, like, racist shit towards, like, Asians.
Like, it wasn't just towards Asians. It was towards other minorities as well.
I just remember because it was one of those that I did read growing up because it was, like, at my grandma's house, and I remembered, like, the line "and a Chinese man who eats with sticks."
Yeah, there was, like, racist, like, the racial Chinese, like,
but
Chinese, like, African, all that.
Cat in the Hat, Horton Hears a Who, the fucking, what's the one with where they had, like, stars in their bellies and shit, like, all that shit. You can still read that shit.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, people were getting all upset about it, and it was, like, literally it was by the publishing estate made that decision on their own to do it. No one forced them to do it.
Because it
was a financial decision because they were not selling, and if they had literally never announced that they were doing it, no one would have known, and no one would have cared. It wasn't until they announced that they were doing it that people were all up in arms about it.
It's kind of similar to the whole thing with, like, Mr. Potato Head, of, like, a whole bunch of, like, crybabies getting up in arms and shit. What happened there was literally, like, they're still selling Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head. Huh? It's just that the brand name itself is changing from Mr. Potato Head to just Potato Head.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of people tried to claim that it was gender politics or some shit, and it's like,
Or like that
eh?
thing where a couple years ago, a university did a joke survey as a school project for some people. Just a joke fucking survey being like, oh, do you think Santa Claus would be more cool if da-da-da-da? And so these college kids were literally putting in, be like, oh, I think Santa Claus would be cooler if he like wore shades and rode a skateboard. Just stupid shit. And people took this information from a fake survey that was literally just done as a school project and tried to be like, oh, people want Santa to be more gender neutral. No one literally fucking wanted that.
Yeah, the image of Santa is fake enough as is. I mean, the actual
Yeah.
Saint Nicholas was from somewhere in Turkey.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Or
we're
the people saying that like, was it Starbucks did a war on Christmas because they wouldn't put snowflakes and snowmen on their cups and just went like red and green or some shit like that.
Yeah, they just went generic like red and green, like plain, minimalistic, instead of specifically having like a Christmassy design that said Merry Christmas on it. Because apparently previous years the design said Merry Christmas or whatever the fuck.
It's like, I don't even remember that, but yeah, like, because
who gives a shit?
Yeah, like literally, who gives a shit?
It's not like they spit in your coffee. You have to pay extra for that.
I'll do it for free if you piss me off enough. But it won't be my spit. I'll just go to the llama out back and be like, "Here you go, Charlie."
Yeah, I'd like a frappuccino, and I'll pay it. I'll tip you an extra $5 if you spit in it.
Tip me 10, and I'll talk dirty to you while I do it.
Deal.
All right, here you go, you worthless little worm.
All right, and what name do you want on it? Dirty little slut.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I got a coffee for Dirty Little Sled. God damn it.
God damn it.
I never spell my name right.
It's not even that funny.
Have you seen the one where it was like the guy said, yeah, it's Mark spelled with a C?
And so it was CARK.
Yeah, it's Kark.
Kark.
God damn it. Anyway, back to the creepypasta. I will admit, I'm the one that derailed this time because I was like, the wrong upload thing just reminded me of the fucking Lindsay Ellis situation. I might tell you more, like, in detail about what the whole situation was after, if I remember. I might not. Okay. Let's see. I do not know the sick ambitions the creators of SpongeBob had in mind with this episode. Why would a kids show portray death? Why would a kids show portray heaven and hell? Would you like me to introduce you to Tom and Jerry? Or any of the Looney Tunes?
Yeah, back when it was still good.
Well, the Looney Tunes... Well, are we talking about back when the Looney Tunes first had their dip, or what are you talking about?
I was talking about Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
Looney Tunes has actually stayed pretty good.
Looney Tunes did have a dip after, oh god, what was his name? The guy who provided, like, the voice for half of them. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, when he died, there was just this very noticeable dip in quality because they had to get different voice actors for each of the characters because they didn't really have people who could do all of them. And the most noticeable one is Bugs Bunny because, like, his delivery just doesn't have, like, the same... He just didn't have the same, like, fucking smarm to it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nonetheless, the unaltered version is impossible to find. I searched as hard as I can and have failed to find anything legitimate about the episode I had seen. People had told me that I'd seen only the altered version, and they too were surprised of the dark themes.
Portrayed.
Give me a second. My vision just went wonk.
Oh, I thought your brain gave out. For those of you who don't know, both of us were up till about 5 this morning.
I was up till 7:30.
You said almost 5.
I said
earlier.
I was talking to Jess till like 5:30 in the morning, and then I did not fall asleep until 7:30.
No one in this group has a healthy sleep schedule.
No. Let's see. Of the dark themes portrayed in the episode, nonetheless, I know what I saw.
I know people would fail to believe me. People will accuse me of just trying to scare people. Honestly, this one... Okay, here's the funny thing. Because of how mild this one is, it is kind of slightly more believable that this was like just like a beta script, basically. Because it's not like as like over the top as a lot of these of just suddenly SpongeBob overdoses on ketamine or whatever the shit. Lucky bastard.
Always the ketamine.
But yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not so fucking over the top that it's like, yeah, this is obvious bullshit. And so it makes it kind of slightly believable, but at the same time not really that scary. It's just like, oh, yeah. Well. Let's see. People would say I have no evidence. There are no photos. There is no video evidence of this occurrence. I only saw it once. It never occurred to me to do such. Turns out I was on ketamine.
I know the truth, and I want other people to know as well. Maybe someone out there saw this episode as well as I, and can confirm it. Until then, I hope you enjoy reading about my experience.
Alright, next we're going to do the Willy Wonka beta tape.
Oh no.
I remember seeing this one a while back. This one was fucking... It was something.
Whose line is it anyways? Nice.
I think we've done that one before. Might have... Wait, no. Actually, might not have. I know that we did the what was it? The Funniest Home Videos one? There's a Funniest Home Videos creepypasta. Like, last episode creepypasta. And the thing about it is that, like, the horrific shit that happens has, like, the way it's described, ends up having comedic timing. Like, one of them involves, like, Christmas decorations being put up and the nail gun being used accidentally going into, like, one of the kids' faces.
Oh, that's my kind. That's my kind of humor.
The way it's described is hilarious. Because it does feel just like like some weird dark humor shit. Like, I don't think they intended to do this, but it does. Anyway, I've heard many stories and rumors that there was a secret hidden story behind the Willy Wonka story, but I never really believed them. I thought of them as nothing more than mere jokes or fan fiction. You know, people like to take things that are normally thought to be happy and whimsical, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and label Wonka as a kitty fiddler or some shit. You know, like Hachi Shaka Shaku Sama.
Hachi Shaka Kakakaku.
My brain keeps wanting to say Ona instead of Sama. Because I am so used to, like, fucking Kuchi Sakana, or that's it. My brain is trying to combine it with the slip. My brain is, like, flipping the name with the one for the slip mouth woman.
Kuchi?
Kuchi Sakama. Kuchi Sakana. And then, of course, you have fucking... Oh, I just remembered. I think the one with the lady with the mouth on the back of her head is Fudakuchiana. But yeah, so my brain is trying to say Kuchisakana instead of Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama.
Say that 5 times fast.
Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama. Hachishaku sama. It was the moment I slowed down.
It was.
But yeah, I think that's what it is. Holy shit. Anyway, I never took anything like that serious and just thought them to be things people with active, albeit creative minds came up with. As opposed to inactive creative minds? Wait, no, that's just me.
To me, the Wonka story was nothing more than a happy and innocent story made for children to enjoy. At least, yeah. Maybe my new glasses haven't come in yet. Leave me alone. At least that was what I thought until the day I decided I would actually find a way to find out for myself. I decided to mail someone who was once acquainted with Doll. I was told not to give anything about this person away, just to see if any of this was true.
Also, I love the fact that, like, when I fucking Google Kuchisakana, one of the things that happens is, because apparently there were a few different movies, Played By pops up, and it's 2 white women. For the movie Slit and the movie Polder. The fuck is Polder? No, not Polder Diss Track. What? The 2015 chief developer. When Marcus, a chief developer at an entertainment company called Nyeru X, disappears, his wife Ryoku begins searching for him. The clues and riddles he left behind lead to the magical virtual parallel world of Nyeru X games. What?
The fuck are you looking at?
A movie from 2015. Sorry, it's got a 5 out of 10 on IMDb. But I guess this guy, like, was making games that were somehow fucking with reality? Okay. Okay, one of the reviews has the title, "A silly yet somewhat sterile mishmash of Swiss and Japanese culture." That would explain that. Okay. Anyway, I keep getting distracted. I almost got fucking overstimulated in the freezer section of Walmart earlier today. Because of the constant noise from all sides. Anyway. Considering nearly everyone had said something about this story, obviously having some sort of subtext about it, I thought I would check to be sure. I was told in the mail, and I quote, "You seem interested in the subject. Many people prefer to speculate, but you were one of the first who seemed genuinely curious. Seeing as you want to know as much as you do, I will send you a tape in the mail. Check it within a week." The man had sent me a jerk-off tape.
Oh, then.
I wasn't expecting that. It was a couple days or so when the tape finally arrived.
It had the words, "The True Story of Willy Wonka," written on it in black marker. The only other words on it were a copyright date, 1963, a year before the book had come out. At first, I thought this was strange, considering VHS tapes were not around back then. Then it occurred to me that it was possible it had been on film and then put on tape later. So I stuck the tape in and played it after rewinding to make sure.
Be kind, rewind.
Oh,
I still have a good...
That aged me so bad my knees and back all popped at once.
I think I do have a copy of Demolition Man on VHS.
Nice.
Started out a bit odd. For one thing, it went immediately into the title, taken directly from the first edition book cover, with no fade. It just sort of popped in, causing me to jump. What also made me jump was what came after that. A delayed yet abrupt appearance of the music, which was loud and sounded like some fast, angry jazz music. Yes, angry jazz. I don't think I've ever heard angry jazz now that I think about it. Like, what would that sound like? You know?
I don't know.
I guess maybe Cuphead boss music.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. King Dice, I'm meanest in the land. Anyway, it went on to the credits and showed names that I had never seen before. The only names I was able to recognize were Dolls, Patricia Neals, and some guy named John Black. It kept looping to the name of the animation checker about 15 times. Look, we need you to know whose fault this is. You need to know.
It's everybody's fault.
It's the animation checker.
Let's see. I genuinely thought there was something wrong with the tape. Right as I went to take it out, it popped immediately into the outside of the house of the buckets with the camera zooming in. The art style was really weird. It was black and white and had this odd, misty, cloudy look about it. Cross-hatched. There was a deep male voice that seemed most likely to be the narrator, but his voice was in horrible quality. It was muffled and at such a low volume that I could barely make out a word he was saying.
I think how bucket was.
Oy. Fucking hell. I don't know why. I'm just imagining it starting up, and then you just have like this unintelligible narration happening. I think I'd probably start laughing just out of like sheer confusion. You know?
Yeah.
It cut inside the Bucket's house, and the misty/cloudy look was even weirder here. The people moved all wavery-like and wouldn't stop moving, much like those old Zelda's CDI games. But the shading was cross-hatched, which meant there was a lot of extra movement. Oh god, yeah. Oh, cross-hatching seems like it would be awful for animation. Now I think about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is... It's like something like the original Ed, and Eddie, where like the outer outlines kind of like constantly wavered because they were constantly being redrawn for each single frame. That's one thing. Cross-hatching would be another entirely, because that would look like fucking like fucking static. Oh, I'm imagining that. I hate it. You there?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you're just not saying anything, so.
I don't really know what to say. Like, I don't really know much about the animation.
Basically, what you would need to know is that it would just be a visual hell because of how constantly it would be moving. flashing back to the work of Fenna. God, that shit is hard on the eyes. Someone's gonna get upset about that comment. Let's see. Sometimes it was hard to make out what was going on. The characters behaved oddly. It seemed Charlie was either gay or highly effeminate, as he spoke in a girly voice and spoke of his love of dolls and princesses. Weird choice.
Yeah.
And it seemed everyone feared Grandpa Joe. We find out later he was involved in World War I, and it was never explained how, but it seems clear he was responsible for ending it.
Well then.
I didn't start World War I, but I know that I sure as hell ended it. What the hell? Charlie's parents also displayed odd behavior. The dad seemed depressed, and the mom seemed paranoid and suffered from some major form of obsessive-compulsive disorder. The other grandparents never spoke at all. What exactly was she doing that, like, clued you into this? Like, whenever she was, like, leaving a room, was she just, like, constantly flipping the light switch up and down? Or, like, going back to lock a door over and over? Or washing her hands until they bled?
Who knows?
Oh.
This is... From here on, it is not too different from the book, except for the characters and the fact that Charlie sings songs about his dress he wishes to wear. The story about Wonka is also slightly different. Apparently he is a Grinch and happened to appear out of nowhere, suddenly owning an impressive factory that no one saw built. Seems here no one worked in the factory, nor did it ever have any problems causing it to shut down. But when Charlie finds the ticket, it happens halfway through the finding.
I don't know why I'm just... Alright, and the song about Charlie's dress goes here. Like, from both a, like, original story, like, concept, and also from a creepypasta concept, like, why is that a detail?
I have no idea.
That is just fucking weird. Like, also, we don't see any of the other kids giving their interviews as they win. And the message on the ticket found in the book, or in any other film adaptation, is absent. In fact, the ticket is blank. No mention of it being gold, but it's black and white, so it's hard to tell anyway. It's a solid black ticket. Hello?
Let's see. So anyway, the big day came, and everyone's waiting at the gate. It's very similar to the book version, except there are 6 kids, and Charlie is wearing his dress.
You keep getting the lines about Charlie's dress.
And the lines spoken by the people are slightly changed from the book halfway through. There are talks of Wonka being a Grinch and how his factory got there and how they got made. And there's a story about Prince Pondicherry's death, having died drowning in Wonka's chocolate palace. They talk about more stuff, but then it seems the wind picks up, drowning them out, though nothing is ever seen blowing. It's just a sound effect of howling wind.
Okay, so at least it's not like... Sorry, because if memory serves, the first person to actually start using the term Grinch was Dr. Seuss. So I was checking to see that book was published in 1957. This says that this was apparently out in 1963. So, all right. Like, it has me wondering if, like, these people are specifically using the word Grinch, or Or, like, what's up with that?
I have no idea.
Like, that seems weird. Like, I could understand maybe, like, calling him, like... I guess we don't know exactly what way he is a Grinch. I don't know. There are bells that chime for when it's time for the gates to open, just like the book. Surprisingly, I can hear it over the loud howling wind, but it hits me that the chimes are not church bells like the book describes. They're funeral bells. Very weird. But it's not the weirdest part.
Yee.
All I'm thinking about is a grandfather clock chiming, so I'm suddenly realizing that I don't know what either of those really sound like off the top of my head.
Yeah. Let's see. The weirdest part is Wonka himself. When the doors swing open, you can see a dark, shadowy figure stand at the doorway, and then Wonka comes out of the factory, hopping and prancing. He certainly does not appear human, though it is somewhat hard to tell due to the style of cross-hatching and the lack of color. Again, this isn't the weirdest part. The weirdest part is his eyes. He had a reptilian stare that quite literally sent chills down my spine. His hair kept moving, not because of the constant motion and crotch hatching, it just moved like he was underwater.
Yeah, I could see Willy Wonka being a reptilian. You don't remember that scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where he takes off his paper skin?
Yeah, best part of the scene.
Best part of the scene?
Movie, you know what I mean.
The wind was even louder now as he pranced and hopped down towards the gate. Once he arrived, he spoke. Strangely, I could hear his voice loud and clear even through the cheering and talking from the audience, even though the cheering and talking from the audience was barely audible. His voice was high, like explained in the book, but not the kind of high voice I was expecting. He sounded like Michael Jackson speaking seductively. What does that sound like? Because I'm trying to imagine MJ trying to be sexy, like, with his voice. And it's not working? You know?
Yeah.
Like, how does Michael Jackson sound when he talks dirty? Or... I was about to change that to past tense, but that would probably just be as unnecessary. Like, what? How did that sound?
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Anyone out there listening who has had sex with Michael Jackson?
Stop that!
What? I wasn't making that joke.
Just stop. Just stop.
I'm genuinely curious on what that would sound like.
I don't want to know what that sounds like, so we need to stop this conversation. I'm good.
As normal, the kids had to show him their tickets, which he stuck down his pants. Then they walked inside.
Alright then. It wasn't that different from the book here on, except for when they started down the hallways, which looked like demented Tim Burton style artwork. They kept getting more narrow and kept sloping down more and more the further they went. They also seemed to twist more as they entered each new hallway. The weird part is there is no dialogue here except a line from Veruca about needing to use the loo, which her father tells her probably won't happen until the end of the tour.
Hold it. There's also a slow rising of the howling winds from earlier. I found it strange that such a thing would appear inside the factory. It's just a weird addition in general. They entered an even more twisted and looking a looped-looking hallway with funeral bells chiming once again. The odd thing is that the art style once they entered the room had changed completely. While still remaining crosshatched and wavery animated, it now fully looked like something Tim Burton might draw. Yeah, they just temporally displaced him to do it.
Yep.
The narrator from earlier also returned, but he was somewhat clearer. I could tell it was the same voice from earlier because I recognized a few of the same inflections. Oddly, he didn't seem to have been talking about what the buckets like. Wait. He didn't seem to be talking about the buckets like I would have expected for the intro. I mean, it's a bit late for the intro.
Let's see. I found him hard to make out, but I managed to catch a few words such as Grinch, Wonka, and he went on to something about the Oompa Loompas. At this point, I had goosebumps. I actually did not want to know what he was trying to say here, but I was still very curious. Then everything got interrupted by a long message found on a black screen with white text. The writing was in another language, and it looked like an odd mixture between Greek and Korean, but somehow managed to look like the black letter ITC font. There was no sound at all here. Everything was in total silence, though the howling winds would show up abruptly a couple minutes in. I expected it to return to the show here, but it went on a few more minutes before it returned back to the show.
Well, that's just fucking weird. How does it look like a mix between the Greek alphabet and Korean? Wait. I'm trying to picture that and my brain doesn't like it. You know? They continued to walk through the twisted halls, this one looking particularly messy with shadowy figures of Wonka and the gang walking through. It changed to a side view, and everyone was still black and shadowy, and Wonka was still hopping down in an abrupt change as the funeral bell sounded again. And then he was walking slowly. The way he was walking reminded me very much of The Undertaker from WWF. Oh, that brick of a man. Specifically in his Ministry of Darkness days. Other than the obvious, that what was also freaky about it was the fact that it happened abruptly with no transitional frames. Not even a smear? Weird. There was again no dialogue aside from one of the kids, I assume a girl, saying, "I don't like this, Daddy." Yeah, he apparently went from like a full sprint to just power walking. Not power walking, like is there a word for essentially just mean mugging with your entire body? Like just a threatening walk?
Maybe.
None's pop into mind. And I don't like that. Also, it's your line.
Never.
Yes. Now, please. With cheese.
Suddenly, they walk through into the chocolate room. No door or entrance. They just walk in. All sound is gone, and each one that actually shows up is distant and echoey. When they get there, it starts to get really strange.
You mean it wasn't already?
Right.
Why is it specifically Tim Burton-esque? That doesn't creep me out. That's just like makes me wonder why you chose to go with that. The room looks eerily identical to the one in the 2005 Tim Burton film adaptation and is not cross-hatched, but in what looks like a black and white painting style. The chocolate river. This is one of the more unsettling moments because the river looks like real blood, the only colored element in the entire film. Not blood done in a realistic style, but as though someone actually dipped a brush into a cup of blood and ran a brush across those parts. So it looks brown?
I
Like
have
a
no
rusty
idea.
brown?
Possibly.
Because, like, unless it's still wet, it would be kind of brownish. You know?
Yeah. What made it more unsettling is that its textures would change slightly with each frame. Ugh. Quite unsettling because how were they able to get so much blood to make up each possibly 700,000 or more pieces of paper? But that isn't the weirdest part, it gets worse. The room doesn't seem to function like normal, as Wonka is not introducing anyone to the room nor showing them around. He suddenly starts speaking about Oompa Loompas, a group of black pygmies he'd smuggled from Africa. Illegally, he adds. They are then shown.
Sorry,
What?
I was going to ask, do you know what the FPS for, like, animation back in the day was?
No idea.
Oh, not profile pic. What the fuck? FPS. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, the original Snow White was 24 frames per second.
And that was like in the 1940s, I think?
37.
Yeah, 30, yeah. That's
Okay,
close.
what's an animated film? Let's go Disney, so we're going high end. That came out in 63. Or around 63. Films from the 60s. Oh, I don't want watch recommendations. Hey there, Yogi. Oh, okay. 101 Dalmatians. Got 101 Dalmatians. Doing a little math thing. 101 Dalmatians FPS. It helps if I spell Dalmatians right. Each frame had to... Okay. Home theater info. No, not the animated storybook. What the fuck? Let's see. Running about 24 frames per second. It was still 24 frames per second. All right. So, that means that, like, if this was in any way high budget, it would have been 24 frames per second. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we have 700,000 pieces of paper. Now, these are backgrounds, so I think it's safe to say that each of these is going to be happening per frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the other stuff layered on top.
Yeah.
So 700,000 divided by 24 is 29,166.6 seconds. Let's divide that by 60. We get 486 minutes or 8 hours. So for that to be an accurate estimate, this one scene would have to be 8 hours and would have to have the blood river in every frame.
Jesus.
I know it's probably supposed to be like, to make up each possibly 700,000 or more pieces of paper. What? Like, I might just be being anal retentive about this, but that just... I don't know. Anyway, the weird racist shit involving the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, so illegally, he adds. They are then shown, but the unsettling part is the fact that unlike in the book, where they are always happy, cheerful, and always singing and laughing, they look miserable, and each time they look at Wonka, they look terrified. They give him a look that basically says,
Don't kill me.
Jesus.
What?
I actually heard one say that, though I couldn't quite tell if he said kill as he was far away and was sobbing. It had more of a sound of ack rather than kill. The camera from this point stayed at a bird's eye view. Wonka then yelled angrily at the Oompa Loompas with a ridiculous loud voice. It was loud, high-pitched, and screechy. I couldn't even understand him. He could have been speaking in another language for all I know.
Also, did I end up blowing out the mic? Because I know with one of the times I've done that, I blew out the mic.
I don't think you did.
Okay, so you were able to understand me then?
Yeah.
Alright, because I remember once it was I made a brief mention of the whole thing with the cats. And I heard that audio back, and it was completely blown out. I said, fix your pets, but it was unintelligible. Let's see. Then he turned to the guests and said something about them that sounded so shocking and despicably racist. But then it continued to get worse. By the end, what he had ended up saying about them was just plain abysmal as well as slightly terrifying. I won't even repeat it. It was so bad that even a white supremacist would be offended by it.
Not the supremacist.
He's actually just talking about someone who only wears, like, the white Supreme merch.
Oh, okay.
Really. Now, I'm also not that super sensitive, politically correct type that think blacks can do no wrong. Not racist either. Why did you? But even I was distraught about what he said.
So he's a white supremacist. Got it.
Either that or he's one of those people, kind of like back during the early days of like the fucking skeptic movement on YouTube, in which you had people that were like, no, I'm not a feminist, I'm a egalitarian. It's like, you're just trying to use a different word to get across the same point. Like, there were actual, like, legitimate feminists that were calling themselves that because of the negative stigma around feminism. Because, oh no, some people complained about manspreading or whatever. Also, the thing about that always surprises me is that it's like, I always felt that people were looking at that from the wrong angle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because the issue with that seemed to be less guys just sitting with their leg open, and more the fact that, like, women growing up are taught to, like, keep their legs, like, specifically, like, keep their legs closed when sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like, but yeah, it's due to that. So maybe, I don't know, specifically only really concern yourself with telling them that if they're wearing something that's short enough that they might end up accidentally flashing someone. Because, yeah, you shouldn't flash people. Obviously. I don't know. It was just... That was a dumb point in the internet. The Sults were revealed to be racist, not surprisingly. But even they were offended. You know you fucked up when the KKK gets offended. When the KKK goes, okay, a bit too far, man. Homie, what? Anyways, your line.
Anyway, the old Viking boat arrived, but it had some odd reptilian designs about it. The gang got in and I heard Veruca say, "Daddy, I want lots of things, but I do not want a dreadful boat like this." Oh.
Look, Daddy, I might be a spoiled little brat, but I don't want this. Do not buy me this. Whatever you do, Daddy, do not.
But that was all I could hear. The gang did talk, but their voices were drowned out by a group of crying Oompa Loompas and the overly loud sailing of the boat and the chocolate, or blood, river.
Ah, yes, the blood river that is on screen for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Was it strictly? Oh god. I'm sorry, that makes me laugh. They ended up going through a dark tunnel that was very close to the scene in the film with Gene Wilder. May he rest in peace. You know, that psychedelic tunnel ride? Where, like, in the background, a chicken's head gets cut off?
Yeah, glorious.
But...
Like, that's not even a joke, I actually did kind of like that scene.
Oh, I thought it was like... Yeah, like, there is a chicken that just gets decapitated in the scene.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, but I liked it.
Like, I'm less a fan of the fact that a chicken gets decapitated. I don't know, I'm very much like, hey, don't kill animals on screen. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's... I don't know. But I could barely make out what any of them were, as the style made everything look so convoluted. Veronica commented about her underpants being drenched in pee. Or Veruca. What is up with Veruca in this story? This version of events just, like, really hammers in of, like, torturing Veruca, apparently. The sixth child was another girl who spoke some of Violet's lines from the film. What is this, a freak out? I was absolutely baffled as to who this was, though. I also noticed that Augustus was gone. I assumed he fell in Chocolate River.
Well then. Anyway, Wonka sang his Rowan song, like in the film, though he sang it closer to how Marilyn Manson sang it, with extra vibrato. Did Marilyn Manson do a cover of the rowing song?
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to find that out now. The fast, angry jazz music from the intro shows up once again, and it seems odd and out of place. I keep seeing the letters JB pop up in the background. John Black, ? And then the images became clear.
Hey, what the fuck? Why is it whenever they want to make it scary, they immediately, like, go for the music was now rock? Or, like, I swear they specifically bring up, like, this isn't the only one I know of that specifically brought up Marilyn Manson in, like, some sort of context like that. I swear. You know? The background images showed Oompa Loompas crying, and some are singing something in some kind of African language. Oh, that is a sentence that took years off my life. Then Wonka's song starts turning into some kind of bizarre language. It sounded like some kind of Yiddish chant until halfway through it began to have a slight hint of German in it. His eyes got bigger, his mouth grows larger, his teeth make a sudden change to being sharp and snake-like. Then it pauses right on his face for a few minutes, and the funeral bells return. Why is it always a few minutes with these instead of like a few seconds, you know?
Because minutes seem more ominous? I don't know.
It just would feel awkward to me. Like, of just, here's a creepy image on your screen, and it's gonna stay for a bit. Because I know, like, some movies have done that, and it tends to work better when it's less than a minute, I guess. At very least.
Yeah,
then again,
possibly.
this film has 8 hours of Chocolate River, so...
Chocolate rain.
Fuck, have you actually looked at the lyrics for that song?
Yeah.
So you know what it's about then, alright.
Yeah.
Why was something that deep out at that time and just became a meme? Fucking hell. The narrator from the beginning shows up again, but halfway through rather than starting out from the beginning.
From the top. From the top. Make it drop. That's some wet-ass Dobby.
No. Nature has given Dobby a Glock.
Dobby's free!
Have you seen
Dobby
that
is Doug.
Have you seen that
given...
picture? No, not Master. Mater.
Yeah. Well.
It's a horrible image, and I love it.
Okay, so, anyways, we now see here. His voice is now very clear. He mentions the Oompa Loompas being illegally smuggled from a deep, dark forest in Africa and what peaceful lives they lived. But there was shocking mention of horrid things Mr. Wonka did to smuggle them. Again, I will not repeat them. He is about to speak about what happened to them and how the factory got there, but it immediately skips to a room where I can barely make out anything going on. Had no one said anything about it, I would have never guessed it was the inventing room.
I'm sorry, I love that picture. And I get the feeling that you're disappointed in me for it. From here, it just keeps skipping to different rooms, a child disappearing each time. Here, however, it seems no one knows how they disappear.
The sixth child, I still don't know who she is, but I think I heard someone refer to her as Miranda, unless that was the name of one of the parents, who are mostly unnamed in the book. But I'm pretty sure they were referring to this mysterious sixth character. At least she spoke when the name was said, but there were funeral bells here, so it was hard to hear if she responded to them. Anyway, the last room they appear and features Wonka making sick powder.
Sick powder?
Mm-hmm.
You got that white powder? Nice and granulated? No, sir, we do not. Let's see. The sixth girl does not seem very pleased about it. Wonka gets extremely angry about this and shouts angrily right in her face. Well, you know, maybe you shouldn't just be, like, leaving your cocaine out. You know, just a tip from a professional. Wait. You still there?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was not... Oh, wait. Once again, loud, screechy, unintelligible. The fact that it was not distant made it even worse. It sounded so loud that it even echoed through the room. Then the girl runs inside the door to where it's being made. Then it cuts to Wonka's face, slowly zooming in closer and closer. He has a huge... Of course, this word, grin about him.
Huh. Very spooky. I hated to keep looking, but I had to see what was to come, so I reluctantly did so. Some weird noises that resemble one of the creepy background sounds, music, you hear on something like the History Channel. Maybe you know what I'm talking about? Are heard, but they are kind of muted and muffled sounding.
What, like the string plucks one, or?
Hmm.
So you kind of need to be like more specific.
Hmm.
The History Channel, or as it's sometimes known, the Hitler Channel. Okay, people talk about how it went downhill, but before it quote unquote went downhill, it had so many fucking like documentaries just like talking about how great of engineers like the fucking Nazis were, and it's like, nah, not really. But no,
Nani?
we need to have like fucking thousands of documentaries about like their tanks and battleships and shit. Christ. Anyway. Where the fuck is... Oh, there we go. Wonka's face, once it zooms closer, starts to show some disturbing texture that look kind of reptilian. It appears that his eyes are slowly getting wider, his pupils slowly morph into slits, and his teeth once again become sharp and snake-like. Then everything goes silent as the black screen with the white text appears once again, and looking as last time, half Greek and half Korean. I still don't know what that means.
Hmm.
You can't just say that and expect me to understand what it means. What?
Then Wonka began to chant something in what sounded like Yiddish.
Wait a minute, my brain made a correlation between Yiddish and reptilians, and I'm not sure I like it.
It was clearly a different chant than last time. Then it showed hints of German in it, albeit more so than the last time. The text then flickered to an English translation, but it happened way too fast for me to stop it and read it. Then went back to where it was and...
What? Can I keep going, or? Please tell me your internet didn't cut out. Maybe your voice is just cutting out. I don't know. Oh boy. What kind of problems are we having this time? Shoop shoop to do shoop? Shoop shoop. Doesn't help that she always has herself listed as offline at all times. So anyone in the Discord, anyone who has like made it like paid to be in the Discord, also if you want to be in the Discord, you know, fucking Patreon link. Oh, nope, she's out of the call. So I think her internet cut off. Oh, right when I send the message. Hi.
I blame Craig.
Why are you blaming Craig for this?
I don't know. I just want to blame Craig for this. Let me blame Craig for this. Okay.
Okay.
When did I cut out?
Let's see. Oh, just like the brief mention of the English translation, like about how it was too fast to read.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I
let's
see.
start with like then, I guess.
Okay, so the text then flickered to an English translation, but it happened way too fast for me to stop it and read it. Then it went back to where it was and it was still a picture of the group standing around the room with nothing but funeral bells being heard. It lasted a few minutes, then it started to go in motion again once the funeral bell sounded. I then heard someone shout Miranda, so this is her name.
Ah, yes. Anyway, these two ran off to the room as Wonka stared down at Charlie. Honestly, I'd practically forgotten he was here because he was barely shown throughout the whole thing. In fact, Violet and this mysterious Miranda girl were shown the most. It felt like Mike and Violet were not even in this one, considering their names were never spoken. I had almost forgotten he was in a dress. I probably thought it was Violet or something.
Well. I heard him speak again and remembered that he was gay/highly effeminate. Wonka went on telling him he won, but instead of taking him directly through the the great glass elevator or whatever, he told him to wait a minute. He then hopped off into another room. He found every one of the other kids there except for Miranda. He said something I did not quite understand. It was English, but had a rather convoluted meaning. The children laying down on the floor could be heard crying and moaning, similar to the Oompa Loompas. The parents could not be seen anywhere. Hi, what the fuck do you have to read?
Yeah, I was wondering who was going to have to read this part. He turned on the radio and slowly began to strip. Oh, Mr. President.
No.
Oy. The one thing that gave me goosebumps, you mean aside from this reptilian man stripping in front of about a bunch of children, was what was playing on the radio. Melodically, it reminded me of one of those songs you would hear in an old Mario game where you fight Bowser, despite it being in that typical style you often hear during the early 60s, such as the Beatles and the Monkees, but it was one singer only.
Well then, it also sounded as though the keyboardist did not know exactly how to play it right. But that wasn't the weirdest part. The weirdest part is now it sounded distorted and like an old radio, like it was from the 60s. I mean, shouldn't it?
You're not wrong? What?
It was in 63? What? And it was more in the background, so it was a little hard to hear, also because it wasn't super loud. What? Okay, I'm done.
That is a weird. Anyway. Oh shit, I got an anyway this time. I love it when stories do this. I couldn't pick out the exact lyrics, but I did mention him here some freaky shit that would happen to a bunch of different people in 2014. What? It was like a bunch of random names being spurted out, but he obviously seemed to know who they were. What they were going to have happen to them is too horrible to mention. I don't even remember half of them. It took a second for me to sink back into the video as my mind drifted away, absolutely stunned by the music. When I did, I saw Wonka take off his shirt and throw it off and then finally slowly drop down to the ground. What? So he just stripped in front of a bunch of kids and laid down? Didn't do anything, he just laid down.
After that, the credits rolled. All sound was gone from there. Appearing again were the odd names from the intro. I kept it rolling to see if anything came on after this, only to find a message placed at the very end that seemed to have been put in later as the look, quality, and style of it had an early 90s feel to it.
It read, "Don't let Felicity know." Then the tape stopped.
I did not know who Felicity was until I looked it up and found out that was the name of Dahl's second wife. What?
Rodol. Actually, is that the name of his second wife?
Hmm.
Whoa. Rodol. Second wife. Yeah, Felicity Dea Brew Crossland.
Hmm.
I guess. His first wife was Patricia Neal. You alright there?
I don't know how to feel right now.
As you may guess, I was quite shocked by what I had seen, but also relatively confused about what any of this was. I went and asked the person who had sent me this tape, who told me
He told you fart noises?
oh no, look what he told him.
Obviously, this was how Dahl had originally written the book. He always made films of these books before he wrote them so he could keep track of every idea he had and also check and see if the lines these characters spoke worked outside of just being read. What happened from there and how it ended up the way it was, I really don't know. I did not know him long enough, but I started to question the man after I got a hold of this tape.
Do you have any idea how fucking expensive that would be at the time?
Yeah.
That would not work. Like, monetarily, what the fuck? Also, how would you work in the fucking music thing into the book? How would you work in, like, the radio? You know?
I have no idea. I have no idea, man.
I then have to ask asked this person if they wanted the tape, but they refused and seemed glad enough to get rid of it. Though they did not want it to be gone forever. They still wanted proof and information to stick around. Ever since I saw this tape, I have been looking around to see if I could get any information on it anywhere, and so far, I cannot seem to find anything. I love one of the comments just says using semicolons to pad out sentences doesn't make you a clever writer. Miranda is the name of the sixth child Rodol intended to add. He removed her because he thought too many children would make the book too long or confusing. She is a girl who is allowed to do anything she wants, and her disappearance involves falling into a machine along with her father. Her full name is Miranda Mary Piker. There are a number of other children that didn't make it to the finished book, but Dahl wrote an entire chapter about her before scrapping it. I read the chapter in The Missing Golden Ticket, which is about Dahl's work that never got published. Give it a read. Anyway, Miranda is a character. Not funny. Why is... I love... Oh god, one of the comments. Not what I was expecting. Why? It really wasn't what I was expecting? It just wasn't? That is one of the funniest responses I think you can give to the sentence, not what I was expecting. You know, I didn't expect that. Why?
Because fuck you. That's why.
I don't think this is a good creepypasta.
No.
A lot of it was just stuff is like, why would... A lot of the things I noticed with a lot of these is that this is just like... It's almost always basically just like a subpar episode of whatever the thing is, basically. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also just details in this that, like... don't make any goddamn sense to me as both like why they would be in apparently Roald Dahl's original version of the book, quote unquote, as well as why the author would put those there, you know? Anyway, that's where we're going to leave that. What?
Nothing, just...
You leaving me out to hang?
Yes.
Leaving me to hang dry?
Yes.
Like a monster?
Yes.
You monster.
Yes.
But no, we had some interesting tangents, I guess. Starting out with a relatively new cryptid. But yeah. Okay, so that's been the show, I guess. That's how we're phrasing that.
Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum.
Special thank you to Andre D, Summer Moon Soldier, and Destiny Baird for supporting us on Patreon. If you like what we do, then consider going down to that link in the description and pledging any amount of money you want. I guess for anyone listening right now, I am thinking of combining the tier that gets you into the Discord with the one that gets you like suggestion, like the ability to actually make suggestions that I'll listen to. Or that I'm more likely to listen to anyway. I don't know. That's just current thought. I might not. I don't know. It's probably completely pointless for me to mention this now. Whatever. Anyway. I guess we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. It